What's going on, Soul Tribe? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and bringing a little nugget to add to the Soul Tribe archive. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Sun in Libra in the first house, and this is an interesting one for the Sun. Now, when you talk about that big old light in the sky, the nature of the sun. This is the soul. This is the thing that fuels the body. This is the higher light of the mind. This is where those that will to build to express oneself. That connection to source. That's what the sun energy is doing there. It's fueling this vessel and wanting to channel that solar energy so that you shine really bright. So the sun is definitely is what gives the chart life. So it's a very important part, and usually people know where their sun sign is, but you definitely want to try to have that kind of tight relationship too, especially if you have a day chart as well. Now, when you talk about Libra, Libra is ruled by the lovely Venus, and they are the cardinal air sign, and they are active or yang in nature. And it's interesting when I think about just Libra energy in general. I think that there is this kind of contract with chaos that Libra has, where there's where there's one action, there's an opposing reaction. And I think Libra does very well at seeing all sides of that, being able to, and that's what gives them such tact in their speech, to be able to see how things are going to land, to be able to see the points of view of other, or even to be able to challenge the points of views of other, to help them to grow, to kind of balance the energies out. But I think there's a very creative, I think with having that the mind that has such a duality like that, I think that does where Libra can have that creative capacity that Libra has as well. But I also think that there's a strong kind of like law of attraction sense with Libra, because again, they're the initiators of thought. And so, your words are powerful. And I think that with Libra, it's like, you got to weigh how your words are going to land, and what you're putting out there, because that's what you're attracting. That's something, very, the power of the words. But then you talk about the first house. The first house in traditional astrology was known as the hour marker, or the horoscopus house, but this is the ascendant. Then this is where the ascendant lives. I work with whole signs, so there's but you have the house as the ascendant itself, but then there's a point as well, the more specific point that's more time based. You definitely need your time of birth to have a more accurate, because it moves. That ascendant moves every 2 hours, so but that hour marker is what sets up the alignment for the rest of the chart. So it determines where all the other houses and the planets will fall as well. So that's why it's such a vital point. And some of the themes that the first house is going to cover, like I said, is going to be the body. This can also deal with the appearance, the speech, the personality. This can even deal with this kind of like the life force of the native. This is the house of like the beginning of all actions that come into this house as well. So some things to think about when you're working with this placement. Well, one easy thing is that you have a Libra rising by whole sign, but you're going to want to look to Venus, because Venus is going to be responsible for this first house and for your eighth house, which talks about any sort of like how you share resources, whether this be in business or in marriage. This can deal with like mortality. This is dealing with any sort of like debts, taxes, lawsuits, things along those lines, and even like occult and occult studies and the mediumships and things like that. And then you're going to want to, the sun is going to be responsible for your 11th house, and those themes are going to flow to this first house, which deals with like your friendships, your groups, your associates, the people that you meet through these associates, your networking. This is going to be like your hopes, dreams, and aspirations for the future, and it's very, it's a house of good spirit. And the very interesting thing that I really like about when the sun is in the first house, even if it's not conjunct the ascendant by aspect, it's a conjunct by whole sign, and that just means that the sun and the body are in tune with one another. There's a there's an easy conversation with it, and I find that the sun in the first house, there's this invitation for a more easy way of self-expression. And one thing that I could see with this, especially being a sun in Libra, is that you could be one that has that sort of like that Venusian sort of flair in your personality, one who can attract friends and create those relationships. Maybe someone who has a lot of creative potential. I would explore that, explore different avenues to like again see where Venus is at, because Venus is usually not too far from the sun. It's either two signs forward or backwards in from the sun there. So see what that relationship is looking like, if you want a little bit more to bit more kind of specifics as far as like maybe what areas you want to express, as far as like what you want to begin in things. But I do see this as a very inspired sun placement. The one thing that I would talk about or mention with this is that this is where the sun finds its fall, is in Libra. And when a celestial body's in its fall, it's just that more of its kind of maybe lower expressions are sort of can be accessed, or maybe falls into these sort of like traps and things. And one thing I think with Libra is that the overthinking, the analysis paralysis, is that you have this will, you have these ideas, but it's just like, oh, are people gonna like it? Is this thing gonna do this? How's this gonna affect my friendships? How's it gonna blah 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 blah? And then you've thought about it from every which angle, and so you, in order to avoid all of the crisis, you don't do anything. And that would be, I think, of a danger with this, is just not really fully realizing oneself and living this energy of maybe where you're supporting other people's dreams and always being a, not always, but maybe maybe just participating more as a side character, always the sidekick, but never really being the star of your own show. That could be something where that Libra maybe has to work, that Sun in Libra maybe has to work a little bit harder at that. That's something, considering that Venus controls that eighth house things. And again, it's just going to depend on where Venus is at. But that's something where I would be mindful about losing yourself, where it's one thing to support our friends and our group things and whatnots, but the way that those relationships and partnerships grow is when you're growing as well. But I think that this Sun can be one who could be a great leader, who people could look up to, who can maybe rally up different people for a cause. I definitely could see that Sun placement being very great at that, great maybe kind of orator, because the first house deals with the speech. So that's something too. I would even sharpen those skills with Libra. Oh goodness, yeah, that can be a very powerful tool. I can see this as being a very charismatic Sun. Just having that, just sort of just kind of being a natural. It's again, Libra has this. It almost. I enjoy talking with Libras. Libra placements, I'm here for it. So that's just another thing to think about, like, and even too, to be mindful again, because with that Sun, maybe there could be like manipulations I would be aware of with the Sun and Libra here. I could see where the Sun does like to be the king, does like to shine, and it may have a way of working with the words and moving things around there to kind of, so that's just something I would pay with great power comes great responsibility. But overall, I think this is one of those placements where you can get maybe a lot of support in people, like kind of like funding your dreams, or people who can create opportunities for you for your ideas, because again, that Libra is a very creative sign. Again, having that Venusian influence, and the Sun is just a creative, that will. So, and that's something too, that again, just having that, I think whenever you have like especially the Sun in the first house, the ninth house, even the fifth house, just having this understanding of who you really are, and in this concept, and checking in with that, and then checking in to see how the groups and things are supporting this line, whether when, then it's like how we're taking maybe turns taking the main role there. So that's just another thing, and just some very general things that I would talk about, because I can see these groups can be very heavily influenced, where you're going maybe in life here. So yeah, just be mindful of what you take on. But again, this is just a very general kind of talk about this placement. You definitely need the whole chart to get a better picture of this. And so if you have this placement, or know someone who's working with this placement, down in the comment section, talk about some of the things that may have manifested. What are some points that may have like sort of like, oh, that's some interesting stuff to think about, or oh, hey, have you ever thought about blah blah blah. It's always really cool to hear how that manifests in real time, and in the reality. And if you want to explore these placements more and, kind of, maybe tap into that charisma a little bit, I got a pretty loaded first house. I don't got the sun there, but I got everything else there. But if that's something that you want to explore more and just kind of grow in that aspect, there's a link to get down in touch with me, and I have a link I have a in the description box to list of my services and what we offer there, and yeah, just kind of look at that for me, making friendships. And then if you want to just follow the transits and see what's going on there, especially if you got this placement, Saturn's going to be moving into Aries here soon. It's gonna go to, so if you have early degrees of Libra, this one is just kind of look out for that one. But if you want to see where the planets are transiting and kind of get eyes on the Jupiter's going to be moving into Cancer, so we got some Libra's going to be getting a little bit of cardinal force that's going on here soon. So if you want, get eyes on that. Yeah, definitely check that video out. It's under the weekly forecast that I have for this channel. And if you just want to work with us with lunar shenanigans as well, I have a link for my other channel, the Chariot and Friends, where I talk about the lunar astrology and what sign it's in phase, and then I do tarot card reading and an I Ching reading as well, so some a little extra spirituality for you. But yeah, that's all I got for you there. So until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep raising that vibration through the roof. And I will catch you on the next one later.